My name is Richard Leach. I work for a company called Mawdsleys, which is the largest independent supplier of licensed and unlicensed medicines to the NHS. And what I want to talk to you today about is named patient programs. For some of you that probably know what a named patient program is, it might be slightly boring, but for those that you don't, hopefully it'll be illuminating. And certainly in this very brief talk, I think patients could benefit from understanding this a bit more. Certainly physicians should know about this, but not necessarily all of them do. And also any pharma companies that are here should certainly appreciate this too. So without further ado, I want you to imagine that there's a pharmaceutical company, biotech company in America, and they have a cure for a rare disease. That rare disease has been registered and licensed in the FDA in America, but it's not licensed yet in Europe through the EMA. So the question is, as a patient, you would obviously like access to that medicine, but it's unlicensed in your country, in the UK, for example. So what I want to talk about is how to access that unlicensed medicine, because it could take a number of years to put it through the registration process. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about the guidance given to physicians about prescribing medicines. Their number one priority in prescribing a medicine would be a licensed medicine. Their second priority would be a licensed medicine used what's known as off-label. So it has efficacy within a different condition, but it is licensed for another condition within your country. The third priority is a medicine that's licensed in the country of origin, in my example in America, but not yet licensed in the UK. His fourth priority would be a completely unlicensed medicine, so it hasn't been licensed in any country in any part of the world. And the fifth, an unlicensed medicine, but the quality of manufacturing isn't to GMP, good manufacturing practice, which is what's required for a drug that's used in the clinic or that's given as a licensed medicine. Now this is a guidance only, and each case, a physician, each patient he will deal with on a case-by-case individual basis, but this is a sort of a guidance. So I want to focus really on number 3, 4 and 5, which is how a doctor would go about prescribing an unlicensed medicine. So we have what's known as named patient programs. This is controlled access of a pre-approved drug in response to a request by a physician. The physician is key in all of this. And it is on behalf of specific patients, so they're named, or it could be a cohort of patients, so a particular hospital that treats a certain disease state. All of those patients that are treated there could fall under this named patient program. So you might have heard of different terminology used other than named patient programs or named patient supply. You have managed access, controlled access. Compassionate use or unlicensed use. Compassionate use is slightly different, but that's for another day. So the medicines that can be supplied are normally and typically medicines that meet an unmet medical need that can be provided on an unlicensed basis. And these are treating life-threatening diseases, so oncology, for example, or typically unmet medical need in orphan or ultra-orphan disease states, so very rare or rare diseases. So how does the process sort of look and work? And we've touched on this with the other speakers. So the pharma company will publish positive clinical data. That tends to be data in phase 2B or interim phase 3 results. 1 minute to go. And that medicine also might be licensed elsewhere. So it's a sort of an awareness of the data, or there's positive data out there. And then, of course, the patient, and we all appreciate how knowledgeable patients are nowadays, the patient advocacy group and the physician themselves, if they're keeping up to, abreast of what's going on in their particular disease area, their expertise, there becomes an awareness. So, building on the data, the awareness, the physician makes a decision to prescribe that unlicensed drug. He will then obviously seek permission from the hospital, and then you have to go through a regulatory process with the MHRA, and then of course it's the pharma company themselves. They will consider how much product they have available to supply to this patient. They will obviously look at their safety data. Is it really showing efficacy enough to to warrant the benefits outweighing perhaps the toxicological effects? And of course they might have a pre-launch supply strategy that doesn't fit in, and I can give a very good example of that. So eventually then the medicine is supplied, and you have to obviously, that process, my company is involved in that process, and we are specialists in delivering unlicensed medicines. As I said, we're the largest supplier of unlicensed medicines to the NHS. Thank you.